Hi, welcome to the Old Bold Show. We've got a first of a kind that we're doing today. We're doing a tier list, and we're actually doing War Machine today. So I'm joined with the fount of all knowledge, Mr. James Ramsey. Say hello,
Hello.
James. Hello, we
Hello,
go.
hello, hello.
And we are also joined by the Dare to Care Bear, Mr. Andrew Oakham. Say hello,
Hello.
Andrew. And
Bear.
oh yeah, Care Bear. You're just cuddly and just a lovely bloke. What can I say? You make people want to care. You make people dare to care, you might say. And yeah, we've been thinking about sort of war machines a lot. I think we've all written a few lists with quite a lot of war machines recently. So we figured, why not have a lively debate as to what is the best in the vacuum of the war machine world?
And worst.
And worst, because we all like a worst. In fact, looking at the tier maker, it's so bad, it's not even got a letter. Let me change that. Bear with me 2 seconds. We want D. Okay. So should we start, guys? Has you guys got any thoughts on War Machines first? As an overarching sort of feel first.
They were nerfed a lot from previous editions. That's kind of been everyone's in first impressions, I think.
Okay. Okay. Andrew, care to
But
give
they
me your
can
thoughts?
be pretty impactful in games. They have some nice abilities to potentially change the course of the game with some lucky snipes and stuff like that. So, um, they can be interesting additions to armies.
Absolutely. They can definitely make people play if they don't have any kind of shooting. 'Cause speaking from experience, if you get getting sniped from across the board by a rueful cannon, it makes you kind of want to go and stop that, really, for sure. So, shall we just jump straight into it, boys? Because we have got 27 war machines to cover.
It's a lot, actually.
Technically, it's actually 26, but we are including, a certain one because, quite frankly, it should be a war machine, in my opinion, or it should be at least part war machine. Um, so, do you want to start, Mr. James Ramsey?
Yes. So, just to say, when we're ranking these, I think we said we're not ranking them in terms of how good they are in their army. We're ranking them against each other, aren't we? And we
Yes,
are
Like
yes,
damage output and
yeah,
yeah.
and we
yes.
decided not to include the chariot war machines, things like the hell cannon, even though not the hell cannon, sorry, the the demon one called? The big cannon that's on
The,
skull
the
cannon.
skull
Skull
cannon.
cannon, yeah. Even though it is got a cannon profile, there's so many of those that we
The
literally
list would be double, yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
we have to,
absolutely.
we've just gone for war machines.
Like the
Yeah.
Ogres one and scrap launchers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that being said, there are some that feels wrong to miss out. Like the steam tank, it just feels wrong to leave that out. But it is. It's not a war machine, is it? So we
no.
can't include it. Um, that's fun. Yeah, I think you have to do it in a vacuum for something like this because the majority of this, if we're talking comparatively, probably wouldn't be taken. Um, but it's fun to have a debate on these kind of things, right? So
So first one is the one that we used recently, actually, which is the Bretonian. What's it called? The
the
Border Prince's Bombard.
Bombard. Okay, we've got it. It's the first one in the rank. Go for it, Ramsey. Give me your thoughts.
So it's a cannon, obviously.
Hmm.
It's a medium-sized cannon in that it's the strength 8 profile cannon, but it is AP3, so it's not AP2 like the dwarf one, and it's D3 plus 1 wounds, which is pretty
Yeah.
good. It's only
Okay.
100 points, not too bad. It does have the levies rule, which is not good because it means you can't use Inspiring Presence
Okay.
or the BSB roll for panic and things, but it does have quite a cool, it's got peasantry, which I suppose means it doesn't panic other non-peasant units. Although I can't think of many why that would happen, but hence it could.
Mm.
But it does have quite a cool little funky misfire table, or whatever it's called, which is quite good. It's definitely better than a normal cannon's misfire table.
Okay. Okay. What makes it good? Do you think?
Well, so most war machines have got a misfire table where if they roll a 1, they die, and it's the same for this one.
Hmm.
But on a 2 to a 3, or sometimes even 2 to a 4, they miss a turn of shooting.
Hmm.
Whereas a bombard doesn't have that
That
rule.
is good.
And
Yeah.
it also has the rule that on a 6, it shoots even though it's rolled a misfire, but it can't shoot next turn, which is quite unusual. I don't think I've ever come across a war machine that does that. That's very unusual.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know you guys.
The hell, what's it called? The Hell Blaster has that rule. It reminds me of the Hell Blaster, where
Yeah.
you get a benefit of rolling a misfire, which is quite cool.
Absolutely. You guys took 2 of these to the LGT each, didn't you? And I know, Andy, you were a massive fan of these after that event.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about why they absolutely tickled your pickle, as it were.
The misfire table being really kind is quite a big one when you've not got engineers for any rerolls in a Bretonnian list. So it's never, unless you blow up, it's never got like anything where you're not firing for 2 turns, which can be kind of like, oh, missing out here. So it's always got like at least, firing at least every other turn. And the strength 8 was fine because nothing majority, not a lot of stuff was toughness higher than 6 for not to win on 2s. And the AP3 from 2 on a normal cannon, I think the AP3 was big.
AP3 is big, yeah.
And D3 plus 1 damage was huge as well. Because most stuff, if you like, you sort of killing off anything elite monster infantry wise, it's like got 3 wounds, or like if you're managing to snipe out a character in some fashion, it tends to be like a 2 or 3 wound character. So you like either auto killing it or on average roll killing it. So yeah, I think the bombard is really really good. Really, especially its points.
So cannons, I don't know if we discussed it here, but cannons feel very good. Back in previous editions, you used to not be able to really interact with things on hills or trees with cannons. They used to be quite almost safe. Whereas it seems to don't have that rule at the moment, and you just seem to be able to just
fire.
Yeah, if you can see the point to put your marker down, you can fire, right?
It just goes through the woods, which is very new. I don't think people really realise that, and you can also by raw shoot. Oh, but yes, by raw I mean like by the rule of the law. You could rule of the rule book. You can shoot over the top of houses and things. Now, of course, you have to pick a point on the house in front of it where you can see it. But on the initial roll,
the overshoot thing,
it can overshoot because it does say that the buildings stop when there's a hit. But of course, you haven't actually hit anything until the bounce on the initial hit, and then it bounces. So, but I mean, people don't like that. So I know Mr. Lee Jordan doesn't like that. When I say in chat, you should shoot over vortexes and buildings. He has a go at me for that. So maybe I shouldn't say that.
So yeah, that's fair enough.
Cannons, I think cannons are excellent though. Being able to snipe models, being able to pick points, it means you can really punish mistakes.
Yeah.
Which you can't normally do with other war machines as easy because you have to shoot the middle of the unit with other war machines. Whereas this one, you can just go for one model, or you can go for like where there's a nice little juicy line of 3 or 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You can hit other war machines really easily with them.
Most war machines have got 3 wounds, haven't they? So this can, on average, roll snipe and kill another war machine quite easily, which is
absolutely.
And it's only got 48-inch range, but that, to be honest, is nearly always fine. Like you can with the 2 artillery dice rolls, you'll pretty much
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, when you think about the Border Princess Bombard, I mean, apart from anything, it just gives Brett's access to something that they just need. They do lack slightly. The trebuchet is fine. We'll come on to that, but I mean, it's like you say, it's having that reach to threaten individual units and other war machines, other cannons, for example, which Brett's historically aren't fond of. I quite like it. If I'm thinking about a place in the tier list for this,
S.
You think S, Sandy?
Oh, interesting.
That's, I mean, you wouldn't want to be dishing out the S's this early, boys. Come on.
We were straight off the bat going for one of the best war machines. It's an S tier for me. I would take 2 in every single, because 2's the max. I would take 3 if I could, in every single Exiles list for the rest of my life.
Interesting. I don't know if I would go S. I don't know if I'd go S. I think about the context of. I know we say treat it as a vacuum. It's very hard to not treat it in the context of the game. In the context of Brett's, then possibly yes, it is an S. It's if you're going to take like Exiles, you probably will always take these. But in the context of war machines, there are better war machines. I mean that's what this grading is based on.
I think there are better war machines. I personally, I put it in A tier. I think it's a really good war machine, but I think there potentially are some ones that could be better.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
situations, yeah.
You're happy with that, Andy? Bit of compromise.
Set the bar.
He's not
Set the
going to
bar.
He loves bombards, so he's not happy.
I love bombards.
I know he loves bombards. Right. Okay. So Andrew, if you want to have the pick of the litter next.
I'm gonna follow suit, and also down the line, I'm gonna go for the field trebuchet next.
Okay, we're just going to cover off all the Bretts altogether. All right.
Yeah.
Give me your reasons. Why the field trebuchet?
So the trebuchet is a stone thrower. However, what's nice about it is it's pointed quite nicely at 100 points, and it's T7 with 3 wounds, which is pretty good for a war machine. Anyway. But the field trebuchet itself is range 12 to 92. It's strength 10 in the middle, and AP 4 in the middle, I believe, as well. And then the outside of the blast is strength 4 and AP 1. Which I think is for stone throwers is quite a good profile.
Strength 5, yeah. Strength 5.
That's the strength 4, strength 5.
Yeah.
And it's also in the middle it's D3 plus 1 damage as well.
Yeah.
Which, again, I quite like. D6 is nice. But I quite like the D. I like the plus 1 on anything.
I think D3 plus 1 gives you a level of stability, doesn't it, and reliability.
Yeah.
Nothing more depressing than getting that hit with a D3 weapon in and rolling a 1. It just,
yeah, or a D6 weapon and rolling a 1 if you like.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's for what it is, for 100 points. I like that. It's got a good. It's got the basic sort of profile. Most of the tough are 6 or 7, so it's the higher end of those with the 3 wounds. It has the usual problems like the Border Princess. That it's got levies and it's got peasantry. But it's going to be sat right at the back of the board. If it's going to get hit or touched, it's not in a great position anyway. But damage output wise, quite nice. And the downsides are the stone thrower misfire table is horrible. 1 is blown up. 2 to 3 is can't shoot this turn or next. 4 or 5 is and you lose a wound. Then 4 or 5 is can't shoot this turn or next. And then 6 is wait. Well, no.
2 to 4 you can't shoot.
2 to 4 is this you can't shoot. You lose a wound, you can't shoot this turn next. And then 5 to 6 is you can't shoot.
Yeah, it's not nice. And you have no engineers in this army, do you, to re-roll that?
Not at all. No. And actually, you say 100 points is okay. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong, there are a lot more expensive war machines, but I mean, you think about the context of stone throwers. Obviously, I've been spending a lot of time with dwarves, where they are a lot more inherently reliable, and they start off at 95 points. I'm not sure 100 points is that cheap, really.
In just general terms,
okay.
I think 100 points isn't too bad.
Okay.
Also, just a small point we should make now, maybe, I don't know, is it's actually on quite a significant base, whereas the one before, the Bombard's on a very small base, and it doesn't come up a lot, but sometimes being a small base is very useful.
Yeah, I think the 50 by 50, which is the Bombard's on, is quite handy for it not to be in the way of anything. I never found having a bigger base. I never felt like I needed a bigger base for helping with line of sight purposes.
No,
I actually found more benefit of having the smaller base.
Yeah, 60 by 100 60 by 100 is on.
6 by 100, yeah, actually, it's quite big. Fair enough.
It's like a big monster base, like a dragon base, that big monster.
Yeah. Ranking wise for this, then I would probably put this in the. I probably put this in the B or C.
B or C.
It's not an auto take.
No.
What you look at, it's not like super cheap where it's like may as well take it. It can do some damage if it stops firing blows or whatever. It's like not too bad. I'd probably put it in C.
Okay. Are you agreeing with that?
Well, so it's got the extra damage, which is not the extra strength, but the strength 10 doesn't make that much difference. I don't think most of the time anyway. The AP is nice. Strength 5 is nice. It's also only BS2, which it comes up with its bombardment thing, which that often you want to shoot stone throwers with bombardment. That's one of their best rules. It's probably one of the main reasons to take them.
Yeah.
And
you shoot at line of sight and you're BS, but it always goes.
Exactly, and we're going to see some stone throwers that can actually be quite accurate out on sight, and this one is not as accurate. So, yes, I agree. It's probably one of the worst, one of the weaker stone throwers, and that's why I don't think you see it too often compared to other war machines.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this, guys, if I'm being completely honest, is that I do agree with you. I think C is probably the right place for it. My biggest issue with it is the BS2. It actually is that price point, 100 points. And here's what I'm thinking is that in order to get them reliable, you're going to need to take probably more than one, 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and by the time you're doing that, it's like 200-300 points. It's actually quite a sizable chunk out of your list on things that maybe you don't want to be spending it on that. Do you know what I mean? Just to make it a bit more reliable. So I think C. We're thinking about the context of just war machines. I would say C personally. Yeah. Cool. All right. Brill. Oh, we're flying through this. Okay, so I'm actually going to go completely down the line with my very first army in fantasy ever, High Elves, and go for the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Yeah, I quite like it. I was talking to Ramsey about it before, and the sole reason why I like it is because it's quite a rare war machine that is BS4, and I do quite like Through and Through. I think it's a good rule. I think maybe Through and Through is not strictly that relevant at the moment because you're not seeing massive, or you're not seeing like big blocks of infantry, but maybe that will change. But I do quite like as well, the repeater bolt thrower profile. I think, D3 plus 3 shots is quite nice. You're probably going to be shooting at -2 with the long range, and does rapid fire give it multiple shots? I think it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So it'll be hitting on 5s, but even that, when you looking in the context of war machines, a lot of other things that have rapid fire and will be shooting at long range are only BS3, so they'll be hitting on 6s, a lot of the time. I quite like it. What are your thoughts?
What point is it?
It's 80 points, so it's not even that expensive.
So, yeah, I think bolt throwers are okay. So generally, bolt throwers, the ballistic skill generally is a bit of a downside for most because of the low ballistic skill. BS4 helps a bit. It especially helps on the bigger shot profile because it means that you're most time starting at 4s, and most big monsters that you want to shoot these big bolts at don't get cover. So hitting on 4s at long range, maybe even 3s, because sometimes monsters will come to you, and it's got a 48 range, so get into short range, not too bad. Yeah, I think it's okay. I think the thing that puts me off it is the rapid fire profile. I don't rate at all. I think it's pretty difficult to use that because most things, because it's so far back most of the time, you're going to often give your opponent cover quite easily, and it's going to be struggling to hit. But I think the strength 6 shot is okay. I think like Through and Through is okay. It's an okay rule. If you play against people with ranks, it's not bad.
Yeah,
good into those elite units. Like a unit of cavalry with 2 ranks is pretty cool. Killing maybe two knights. Its downside though is it's only 2 wounds, so it's very fragile for a war machine. Toughness 6. So most war machines have got 3, which means they can take that 1 extra hit, whereas that 2 wounds is very fragile.
Yeah, don't like that.
No, I mean, but you could always play the long game with it and try and sort of hug the flanks. It has got move 5, so I know it's move or shoot. But if you sort of march 10 inches up and getting sort of shots down ranks,
I think you can
that
march
was bad.
machines, can you?
Can you march machines? Oh, move 5 though, better than 4 or 3 or whatever it is usually. I don't know. I think they're okay. I don't think it'll be rated too high on the tier list.
Where are you going to put
Looking
it?
at the competition, I would go for. I do think it's better than a trebuchet. Do I? No, I don't. Maybe probably about C. Probably C. I wouldn't put it in the D tier. I wouldn't put it in the bin.
Is the Dark Elf one the exact same?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar.
At the same time, should we do a 2 for 1?
We're going efficient. Are you happy with C, guys, or would you go for the bin? I feel like if you're going for the bin, we've got a lot stronger competition for the bin. Really,
I would probably. I'm stuck between C and the bin, because I think it's useless. I don't think you'll ever see it.
There is one difference, by the way, Andy.
But again, we're talking about a vacuum of war machines.
The Reaper Bolt hatred. Whereas the other one's got Valor of Ages. Valor of Ages is complete. Cool. You can It can reroll any failed panic from taking heavy casualties or being fled through.
All right.
Whereas the Reaper one hates any high elves that fight it in combat. So there you go. There's a
There you
small
go.
difference.
Does that change the tier in which they're in each?
Yeah, I think both are pretty weak. I don't think they're like. So the thing is, you look at like other bolt throwers we're going to come across. They're a lot cheaper, a lot
Cheaper
cheaper,
and 3 wounds, aren't they usually?
and 3 wounds. And so I think this is actually one of the worst bolt throwers. I mean, BS4 is okay, but
Mm.
I would rather pay. I'd almost pay a few extra points and have 2 personally.
Okay.
So I think it is one of the weakest war machines.
So you're saying D? Am I going to have to agree with the group, the majority?
I think I'd go D, sadly.
You
I
go
would-
D. All right, fine, boys. I'll bend to the will of the group.
Over-
Don't say I'm not democratic. There you go, boys. But when it comes to the D, and we are going to have to talk about which is truly the worst of the worst, we're going to have to talk about the positions he's going, because there again, there's stiff competition that's going to be filling up D, I suspect.
Go on, then, Ramsey. What are you
Right,
picking?
okay. So I'm gonna skip one because I know Andy loves the next one. So I'm gonna pick the one after, which is the magma cannon.
Okay.
Magma cannon. Okay, here we go. So this thing
Yeah.
is it's quite
That's not bad, is it?
sadly it's one of these war machines that I loved in AOS because I have 4 of them, and unfortunately they just sit there gathering dust because I can't think of a single time I'd ever use this in AOS in Old World because it's not good, sadly. It's 125 points, which is kind of crazy. You can buy some upgrades for it, but you're not buying upgrades for it because it's already very expensive. And basically, it's a strength 5 AP1 flame template fire thrower.
Yeah, 12 inches. Yeah.
Yeah,
12 inches plus an artillery.
Yeah, 12 plus artillery, and it's going to shoot some flaming shots. Now the problem you have with any of these war machines is that they've never been good in any game, apart from maybe the warp fire thrower used to be okay. But in every edition, these things have always suffered from lack of range.
Yeah.
You have to basically be on top of somebody to use it. And now the flame template hasn't increased in size, but the partials rule changed so that you have to roll a 4 up for every model that's not fully covered now. And with big bases, it's very hard to fully cover any unit really with any meaningful amount of hits.
Yeah.
So basically, you can generate a load of partials. It'll get 1 turn to shoot, then it'll probably die because it'll get charged. It can't stand to shoot, and it's a very expensive war machine. And so I think it's unfortunately absolute crap.
I mean, I'm not being funny, guys, but you just described that sounds way more useless than a couple of bolt throwers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, these are how bad we are. We're really probably in a tier below D here. We're probably
Is the magma cannon so bad it bumps the bolt throwers up into C? Is that what you're saying?
no,
I think I would say so.
We don't change tiers. Keep
Fine. But where does it go in the tier list?
It's way below bolt throwers. Yes.
All right, so put it there. Oh no, put it there. Okay,
Yeah.
so closer to D is.
Do you guys see any review? Is there any redeeming factor of this thing?
No, as soon as you said it, I knew exactly where that was going. It was.
I mean, it's got heavy armor, but it's toughness 6 as well, so it doesn't even. It's
with 3 wounds.
Yeah, it's got black shard armor, but you're never using that rule, and you're not buying Hellbound on it to give it a 6-up ward or cause fear. Like it's just. You can read all the artillery dice. Like, who cares, right? You've got engineers anyway.
Yes, fair enough.
I think it's going to take Chaos Dwarves. Chaos Dwarves have some good artillery, and so you're not going to take this thing over the artillery as well.
Yeah, I like I say, I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of agreement in quite a lot of these things, but that's absolutely
Let's move on
for it.
Oh, should we do the dwarf flame cannon at the same time?
Because it's exactly the same.
Same stat.
Yeah. Sorry, anything that.
No. You can give the dwarf one runes, right?
And it has magic resistance, and it has stubborn, and it has hatred to goblin.
Right, let's come back to it then. All right.
The other one has hatred dwarf, right?
It's terrible. It's still the flame cannon. Flame cannon is still absolutely terrible.
Okay, so does that go in D as well?
Flame cannons in general.
I mean, the runes make no difference.
I don't think any runes that you could take would make that something.
Actually, no, I don't think it can take runes. I think it's one of those. It's like an organ gun. I think it's
an organ gun. Oh, God, even worse.
That's even worse. Yeah. And it makes me sad because, like I say, starting a big dwarf project. I know you guys have been looking at dwarves as well. Mm-hmm. Putting dwarves in D sounds just bad.
Yeah, I used to love that old model as well. That was my first model I ever bought. from a.
Really?
The
In
flame
fact,
cannon.
I'd say it was a flame cannon.
A
Yeah.
bit up market for the first model you ever bought. I
Yeah.
think mine was
Wow.
like some
I bet that
high.
metal's horrible to put
Yeah, it
together
was
as well.
cool. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Just
impossible.
fell apart flat out.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still
My
really
first
good.
model I ever bought was the 3 Spearmen that you got with like a pot of blue paint. Do you remember that little that's the starting kit?
Yeah,
And you get a bloody metal flame cannon.
I think I
Right.
got a Tony Knight with mine. My little starting set of
Yeah.
paints.
Yeah.
The old school one piece.
I
Right,
think. Yeah.
Right.
moving on.
Andy's favourite. We all know what he's
Casket
going to pick.
Assault. The
There we go.
first S tier pick, right?
Yeah.
If anyone argues with this, if this isn't S tier, I don't know what it is.
Right. Run through it. What makes it such an S tier?
So it's not the fact that it's just like does one job; it does so many jobs. It's a big utility war machine. Like it gives 12 inches gives Lich Priest +1 to cast. Gives +1 to cast bound spells, but friends and foes, sadly. It's just undead in general. It can be healed. It's got regen, 5 up. It's got a 6 up save. It can fight. It's got two Tomb Guard there with great weapons if combat if it needs be. And then that's not even getting onto the shooting bits. Shooting wise, it has spells instead of just physical cannons, so it can't misfire. But and it can't miscast either. But it's got 2 bound spells. It's got your Light of Death, your Light of Protection. So your Light of Death is range 36. It's cast on a you need a 7. I think it's bound level 3, and the unit you targeted takes a leadership test. If it passes, it still takes damage, which is nice. But if it fails, it takes D6. Actually,
D6 plus
3, strength 6, damage 2 as well, which is insane.
Yeah, no armor, no regen.
No armor, no armor, no regen. Damage 2. It's just like, oh man.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And then also it can do light protection, so it can give a bubble, an 18-inch bubble of -1 to hit and shooting in combat, and then 6+ ward for all the Tomb Kings around it. So you can't have both at the same time, but if you fail the protection, you can then attempt to cast the other one as well, which is interesting. Or you can override it, I believe, as well. If you decide actually I made a mistake.
It's remain in play as well, isn't it? So that light of protection, so it sits on you. Once you cast it, you can just keep it going for.
Yeah, you can keep it going. They're 1 per 1,000 points as well, so you can have 2 in a in most lists that aren't like the Royal Host. You can't take them. It's just like it's just like it's 135 points as well for all that. Like 10 points more than a magma cannon. Think about what you're getting there.
Yeah, it's just mad. Just absolutely mad.
It's just got all the tools it needs, and it's just such a big piece. And I mean, I know we're not comparing this to what happens in the armies themselves, but with the Tomb Kings, it's just it helps buff the entire Tomb King army. Taking twofold.
Yeah, well, speaking from absolute just horrible experiences, I absolutely hate this model, which means it's really good. It can be quite tough to play against. It does so much. What I think is really strong is that it doesn't just do one thing; it does multiple things really well, and it's just so cheap, really.
Yeah, it's the points. The
So
points
cheap.
is what makes it amazing as well, right? It's just cheap what you're getting. I mean, I don't know what the limit I'd pay up to for this for the casket. To be fair, I'd pay hefty coin. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
What it brings. So for me, it's an S tier.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on the Ramsey before we bestow it a grade?
Yeah, I think I like the fact it doesn't misfire. It's nice. It's pretty reliable, even if it's just given +1 to cast. I mean, you might pay that in a more trickle army anyway, because you're gonna have a lot of casters. You're gonna maybe pay 100 points +1 to cast because it's gonna buff like 4 or 5 casters, maybe plus bound spells as well. I like that it's got multi-roll, so if you don't want to do the damage spell, it can do the protection. It's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty solid war machine. It's definitely a minimum. So I think you could argue for S
Not
for sure.
S
You could, yeah. I think you could
I
argue.
think
Yeah,
I think
I think S is pretty good. If anything to S, I'd go for that.
I think it's hard not. I think the thing is, I mean, you can always tell how something's strong is when you look at every list at an event that that says faction. I don't think you'll ever look at Tomb King's list and not see at least one casket in there.
No, do you not see a Tomb
You know,
Kings list and just like not even phased by
you just
the
know,
rare?
yeah,
You're actually surprised if you don't see two.
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
and they do change things. They do change a lot of matchups. Like they synergize so well with necromancy, don't they? Like that combo is great with necromancy.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think I agree. So S tier. I hate to see it, but it's true. I can't really argue against that. But my turn, boys. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. I'm going to go for something a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to choose the Death Shrieker rocket launcher.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So the reason why I did this is because I just think it is a bit different. So for 120 points, you get a BS3 model. It's got toughness 6, 3 wounds. And it's got demolition rockets, which are it's a small splash template. It's 3 inches, so strength 3 on the outside, strength 6 on the middle. It's AP dash on the outside, AP 3 on the middle, and it's multiple wounds D6, first D6er that we've seen on there. AP, it's got an Arbane one as well. And it uses the bombardment rule, so it's similar rules to the trebuchet. Discuss. I quite think that's quite tasty.
Yeah. Did you say about the size of the template?
Yes, it's 3 inch.
Because it's got 2 different types of rockets. It can fire the other rocket as well.
Oh right, yes you can. Yeah, okay. Which is
the big rockets as well. It can fire this 5-inch template rockets as well, which is strength 3 AP dash, I believe it is, and it causes a panic check if it causes any casualties or something like that. It's pretty cool.
interesting. I can't see that on the rules, but that's absolutely fine.
It's called Infernal Incendiaries.
Oh, Infernal Incendiaries. Yeah, sweet. Okay, brilliant. So it's got 2 modes of firing. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other one, the panic check's quite nice, but I think the other one seems pretty good. The strength 6 D6 damage.
It's good you got armor rust or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. When I talked to Tom Carey, like Carey, is that his name? Yeah, he's been running these, and he says he loves when he plays Wood Elves to shoot the big blaster because they often don't have armor.
Yeah,
so
it helps you hit something.
And then they often hover near the back of the table, so making them take panic checks.
Yeah.
And run away. It's quite. I mean, they'll for Bygos. They're going to only roll when they're on 2d6, pick the highest, but if they're near that wall, near that edge, then it can make them run away.
Yeah, you're forcing checks. They may fail. So
Absolutely.
something could go wrong. It's all dice games.
Absolutely. So I think this is pretty cool. And again, I feel like we've looked at the Magma Cannon, which is 125 points. Why you would take a Magma Cannon over Death Shrieker for 5 points more, I have no idea.
Nobody knows.
It's a pretty good points limit. It's a pretty good points cost, really.
Yep, pretty solid war machine.
Pretty solid.
Okay.
It's definitely more expensive than, like, for example, you can compare it to other stone throwers that can be as cheap as 75 points. So it is, for a stone thrower, it is still quite a pricey stone thrower. So that tempers it for me. And that I don't think it's an A tier one, but I think it's a pretty solid war machine.
Well, that B tier is looking nice and lonely, and that was my initial thoughts. Andrew, you got anything to add to this, or any thoughts?
I would put it in. I'd put it in B because it's not the fact. It's better than the field trebuchet because I know we're trying to compare them in a vacuum, but obviously you have the ability to get rerolls on the misfires for the engineers, which is pretty important, and the fact it's got the two sort of shots. Also, in Chaos Wars, you tend to find people take a bit of elementalism anyway, so you can benefit. The AP dash doesn't mean a massive amount if you're firing a block of infantry you're trying to remove. If you've got rust on them, so I'd put it in a B.
I would agree with that. Are you happy with that, Ramsey?
I agree. Yep.
Look at that. Everything is now populated, boys. We can leave. I'm joking. Carry on. We'll carry on to the bitter end. Ramsey, your turn.
Okay, let's go going. So we've got, is that the Doom Diver next? I believe it is.
Go.
You want to go with the Goblin Doom Diver?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a lot cheaper than the one we just talked about. This is only 95 points.
Yeah.
It unless you buy the bully, which you probably won't. It's a bit weaker than other war machines. It's only toughness 5, but it has a bit of a unique ability that it can reduce the scatter or when it fires directly and indirectly. So when it fires directly, you roll your normal artillery dice, then you subtract D3 from the distance, the scatter distance. Now you have to subtract the D3, full D3. You can't subtract you have to. So if you roll too high, you might overshoot potentially, but you're very unlikely. And then indirect mode, rather than using Bliss skill, it uses the D3 as well. So it's pretty cool. I like the fact that it can be a bit more accurate than most of the stone throwers, which is probably the main downside of a stone thrower, in that it can be a little bit inaccurate. So it's very good at hitting large targets because it can sit behind the lines of your army, shoot over the top at a large target. On the base of a large target, it's pretty much always going to hit unless it rolls a misfire because of the large space size and the fact that it only has to get the small hole touching the base. With the D3 extra, you're going to have to roll a very high number for it to miss, which makes it very reliable. Which for 95 points, I think it's a very good stone thrower. So yeah, I like it.
Okay. Andrew, anything to add?
Pretty much exactly that. I think it's probably. Let's say it's the best stone thrower.
I think you could make that argument that it's pretty the best. Probably the best one.
Points, the thing with the accuracy.
That makes a big difference.
Massive in this. I'd probably put it as probably the best stone thrower.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't quite reach S because it doesn't have engineers. If it had engineers, I'd say this thing would be unbelievably broken.
The Goblin Engineers makes sense to me.
Yeah, Goblin Engineers thing would be S tier because you'd fix the reliability issue. Yeah, that's the only thing.
That sounds though like you're settling on A, Ramsey. Is that right?
That's what I think I'd aim for. Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, you happy with that?
I'd say A.
Okay. All right. There we go. We got on to Andrew.
I think you pretty much see. The only thing that makes you think it's S, somewhat, but I don't think I will put it S. But you do see 2 of these in pretty much every single Orc and Goblin army that can take them.
And if you pick 3, there'd be 3. Yeah.
I mean, that's always a good indicator. It's like the casket, isn't it? It's a good indicator as to whether it's.
I don't think it's. It's probably not as good as a casket, but it is. They are so good. They are so good.
A casket.
They're very good. Probably leave it at A. Yeah, I think it's probably about the same as a bombard. Yeah, probably is about as good.
Okay. Andrew, it's your pick, and we're just very quickly. We are burning through these. Pretty cool.
I'm gonna go Screaming Skull Catapult.
Okay.
So the catapult is 105 points normally, but you are most of the time going to be taking the Screaming Skull upgrade for 20 points. It's 125 points. It's traditionally, it's tough as 6, 3 wounds, like most war machines commonly. It's got the undead stuff. So it's got the regeneration 6, which is quite nice. Obviously, most of these war machines don't have much in the way of defense, but it has a little bit of regeneration and it's undead. But anyway, the damage wise, so Screaming Skull is 12 to 60 inch range. It's strength 8 under the middle, AP 3, and then strength 4, AP 1 on the outer bit, just the 3-inch template. And then it's got multiple wounds, D3 plus 1 in the middle.
Yeah, the profile we all like.
It is also flaming and magical attacks, which I think is worth noting. And then the Screaming Skulls thing that it does is that if you take a wound in the unit, you take a panic test, which again is pretty big, especially coupled with the upgrade for the Skulls of the Foe. So wherever the point ends from the scatter, 2d6 radius of that, you're minus 1 leadership.
Well, that's a nice little synergy with the casket itself, isn't it? So
it's a synergy with Tomb Kings in general, with them leadership debuff you and terror and casket stuff like that, but also the fact of the panic test.
Lovely.
So
Yeah.
Very good
Oh,
stone.
I like this. So this is another one where you can look across a lot of Tomb Kings, and more often than not all of them, but more often than not, you will see at least one or two of these in a list. I think they're pretty good. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, it's downside. Obviously, it's got the nasty misfire table. It has no way of re-rolling.
Yeah.
It's misfire dice either.
And it's a lot more expensive. Well, not a lot, but it's a substantial more points than something like a Doom Diver, which is 95.
Yeah.
And some stone throwers can be as cheap as 75. So it is paying a lot of points to have that
You've got
flaming
premium.
magical and leadership stuff. Yeah.
And I think that extra paying though is for the extra little bit of rules it has that work in combination, like with the skulls of the foe. So, with it being 105 points normally, if you just wanted it as a stone thrower for some reason, yeah, it's the sort of mid points level for a stone thrower with what you get.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty good. Like first, like if you want to take them, I think one is pretty like okay in a lot of lists. You can take one. I think they are quite expensive to take too. 250 plus. You want to take caskets as well. You're starting to run on lots.
yeah, all your rares gone there in a 2,000 point army, really.
And there are some good guys in Tinking out there. So.
But tier wise, so I would initially have said A with everything it has, but also B calls out to me because it's not quite it's
I would say B personally.
B.
Yeah, I mean, if we're setting the bar with the Goblin Doom Divers now, don't get me wrong, you can still have it A, and just position the Doom Divers above them. That's not an issue, but I don't know. It's a lot more points, and
Yeah.
you're running more of a risk.
I don't think I mean, the biggest part of it is getting the extra -1 leadership for the combination you're going to have with your casket and leadership bombing people there. That's the big part of him. So you're like paying 125 points for that twice, probably, so it's 250. Damage wise, I never seen anyone go like,
Yeah,
Apple killed this or whatever.
yeah.
It lacks rerolls. It can blow up. Nothing you can do about that. You can't
Okay.
heal that. It doesn't just lose wounds. Which
Yeah, you used to be able to resurrect the War Machine when it died, which was really
yeah,
cool.
you just killed the crew, didn't you? Or something. Or no, you killed the War Machine. The crew survived, or something, didn't you? So if you could have done that, wow, I'd definitely put that way up there. But because of that, it drops it down a little bit for me.
So what happened with B now? Important question: is it better than a Death Streaker?
Yes,
We're happy for it to go above the Death Streaker.
I think
Okay.
so.
And not because you play Tomb Kings. You're not in the least bit biased, are you, Andrew? You wouldn't be spreading your biased views.
I don't use catapults. I don't use catapults.
True. Okay, so I'm going to be completely biased then now and choose one of my favourite war machines, which is the Anvil of Doom.
Oh, how fun.
I really like that. What was that?
So this is a good one to pick. This is going to be it's a spicy one.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it is. I think what it offers in terms of, I love the fact that it's got 3 abilities that you can use. I love it's got the move again. It's got the +1 and reroll save, immune psychology, and the magic missile. So you've got 4 abilities there that you can use.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's relatively tough as well, and it's quite surprisingly hitty in combat. The one reservation I have about it is, of course, that it's got a base starting points of 235, and then if you want to sort of buff it in any way, then you can put up to 100 points of runes in it. It becomes ridiculously expensive at that point. But I think that if you're going to build a list around it, I think it's really, really good, personally.
Yeah, so it's you're basically taking a level 3 wizard and putting him giving him a War Machine profile, but he can't move for that. So that's a big downside, but you do have the positive of it being much more survivable than most wizards in level 3.
Yeah, very tough.
And especially if you want to buy some of these toughness upgrades, as you said, like the Rune of Adamant or some of the
Rune of Preservation is quite nice.
Grumble, all those runes add a lot of survivability to that model. So yes, it is expensive, but then if you want to protect that model and make him make that model not easy to get, yeah, I think it's quite a nice upgrade. But and the magic missiles is pretty good. It's a long range one, isn't it? I think it's
It's amazing. If you can get it off, it's amazing. It's 27 inches, strength 4, AP 2.
That's nice.
2d6 shots.
3.
Yeah, pretty good. So one of the best ones in the game.
Yeah.
It's a level 3 for dispelling. Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those units, as you said. I think if you're going to take it, you got to have a plan for it.
Yeah.
I think just slapping it in the list, it's a very expensive model to put in your list, so you really need to make the most of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're thinking about a traditional dwarf anvil style list where you're just going to castle up, it's going to be really, really tough. Immune psychology is an insane rule to have at 21-inch bubble as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times have we played that, Andy? And it's literally been the thing that's kept me in it. But automatically not panicking, passing sort of, terror tests, fear tests. I think it's just an incredible rule, and it's one of the easier ones to get off as well. Easier spells to get off. So for like a traditional style anvil list, I really, really like it. When I say anvil, I don't mean anvil of doom. I mean a traditional anvil. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it helps it's got an anvil in it. Yeah. And the Rune of Oath and Steel is an unbelievable spell if you can get it off at 11 plus. +1 save and rerollable saves is just ridiculous. I really like it. I don't. The problem is I don't know what I would grade it because I mean,
you know what you want to grade it.
I do know what I want to grade it, but then I also have to think logically and think.
Don't do it if you're scared, like. But still.
Is it as good as a casket?
No way. It's not. It's not even in the same stratosphere as a casket. That's the problem.
Do you know what? I disagree. I think it is probably. It's not as good as a casket, but I think it's up there. I think it's potentially S.
I think
the best A.
I think it's so the casket for me is it's a lot more survivable than a casket, but it's nearly half the cost. And you could argue that its output, its magic missile, is almost probably better than the dwarf one because it's got more damage and longer range. Which when you can't move, and remember the casket can move with a lot of people with the reserve.
Stop it!
Whereas anvils can't move.
Why are you trying to promote some controversy, Ramsey? We don't need this.
The light of protection, I would argue, is you can argue maybe is better than the Oath and Steel because it's easy to cast and it collects a whole army rather than just one unit. So I think the casket's way better than the anvil.
Yeah, but is the light of protection better than Oath and Steel and immune psychology at Hearth and Home?
Probably is.
But I think you can't. You can only have one of those at the same time. I think, can't you? Because you can only cast one.
One remains in play.
Yeah, you can only have one of those.
Yeah.
So I think you can have one of the. You can have immune psychology, or you can have the thing, and then you can have the double move, which is I always find it's quite hard to cast. People seem to fail that when I play against it, which is quite.
Or take 2 Anvils of Doom.
Which I have actually, I've seen a few people do. I can't imagine that. No, I'm not pre-ordered another one. No, I'll be honest with you. You know what? Stop tempting me. Get out my head.
Are you upset, Ramsey, that you can't twitch the Anvil of Doom because it's a circle base? You can't just, get the corner into a forest, do your thing, and then twitch backwards and out of it.
It needs a reserve move or something, but sadly not. So overall, I think it's okay. Personally, I think for its points, I think it's fine. I would be leaning towards a B tier personally. I think it's a good war machine.
No,
I think compared to these other war machines that are in A, I think they are for their points.
I can't bring myself to put it in B. I'm sorry, Ramsey. No, you don't. You can't say that. It's good and it's great if you want to build around it and build an entire list around it and then say it's an average war machine.
Because the rest of the armor's worse.
No. But I don't think it's as good as I think. You do what you want. You love your dwarf.
No, right, Andrew, you're the designer, right? So I would say A. I can't bring myself to B.
But you're saying A. Ramsey's saying C.
No, so I think B tier.
B.
I think it's better than the 2 we've just had, the Screaming Skull Catapult, but I don't think it's as good as those ones in A.
I'd put it in A.
Okay.
I'd say it'd be. I don't know ways to put it better, worse, or in between the bombard.
It's tough because it's so different from those two, isn't it?
It is so different. I'm gonna go in the middle and just be, let's play devil's advocate. All right, I'll go with A. I couldn't bring myself to put it in S because I know, heart of hearts, it doesn't compare to a casket.
No, it doesn't compare, but you could still say it was S tier. I think the fact that it's so expensive, if it was cheaper,
if it was 150 points, it'd be an S tier.
135 points, I'd definitely say it was.
Yeah. Okay.
I got him. Ramsey, what's next?
Oh, is that a juicy hell cannon? I can say it has to be.
It is.
Okay,
this is the wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not actually a war machine, but we had to include it. It's got cannon in the name. Come on.
The wolf in. I'm not sure I'm going to describe it as a wolf, but okay, here we go. This thing, unfortunately, is going to rival the flame cannon. It's going to rival it down in D tier because it is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
One of the worst models in probably the whole game for its points.
Is it a war machine that's better off in combat than it is shooting?
Yeah, it is.
It's
so
not, yeah.
It's not a war machine anyway. But...
yeah, so it's a monster. So that means it doesn't even have 3/6 line of sight, which is what war machines have all got, but this one doesn't have that for some reason. It is more survivable than most war machines, but the problem it's got is first of all, I have to take a leadership check before it does anything at the start of the turn.
Which is never
if it fails it takes a misfire check, which can kill it. So
hang on, no, not just kill it. You've got two ways of killing it in that misfire table, have you not? You can eat the crew in its entirety over 2 turns, or you can just roll a 1. Is that right?
Yeah, if it rolls a 1, it blows up and does like a ton of damage to your army around you. So you almost need to run this thing away from your army because it is just like the damage it does when it dies is horrible. Like you do not want to take that damage. I want to say it's
3d6. It's 3. I'm pretty. Hang on, I've got it up here. I read it before and I was laughing at how poor it is.
It's 3d6 range, d6 strength 5. I think it is. It's pretty horrible. Like you don't want to be near that. It's not good.
Let's have a little look. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourself, people.
What?
All right.
And it's it's got that problem, and then it can obviously misfire when it actually shoots. But it does have impact hits. It does have. It is large targets. I can shoot over its own models around it. But yeah, this thing is really, in my opinion, it's a. If you want to use it, you need to fight in combat with it and try and get it to do some. But it's not even really good in combat. It's got some strength 5, AP1 attacks. So whatever. All right, cool.
It's true. So if it dies from a roll of a 1, it says so every unit within 3d6 of it takes d6 strength 5 AP1 hits.
Yeah,
just want to go straight into some of your opponent's army and blow it up.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's
how many points is this bad boy?
It's 215 points.
250 points for the pleasure of killing your own stuff.
Yeah,
I know.
Get frustrated.
Sadly,
the anxiety of every turn having to roll a leadership test and see if you can actually use your model.
Yeah, I mean it's actual shooting profile. Okay, it's pretty cool. Strength 5, AP2, but it's not even D3 plus 1 damage. It's only D3, but I think the D3 is the entire template, so at least you get something out of it. But it makes me sad that the whole isn't as good as a normal stone thrower. That doesn't make it makes no sense. Like it should be damage in my opinion under the whole, but I don't know why it's only D3.
No.
But for me, it goes firmly in D. But it probably is better than the flame cannon. But it's
got range on it apart from anything, right? I mean, and
maybe it's got the range.
Maybe if it doesn't either eat itself or blow up.
But it's way worse than the bolt. The bolt throwers are way better than this thing, so it's way below them.
Okay, right. Okay, so we are going above them, but in between. I think there's no real. It shouldn't really even be in the list. I couldn't not bring it because it has the word cannon in it. That's how base my thinking is. But it's hilarious to just really talk about it. It is so funny.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It
looks cool though, and I love the old model. It's such a classic model.
Yeah, it's from the Storm of Chaos, wasn't it? It was a model from that campaign.
It was the first time I saw those Chaos Dwarfs. It was like, oh wow, they're cool. They're back. It was nice to see them again.
Absolutely. Right, Andrew, we are down to. Let me just have a little quick count. I think we've got about 12 left, 13 left, something like that.
Yeah, I think some of them we can combine as well. Some of these stone throwers you can probably get this.
Yeah. Right, I want to go in then. I want to go with the Hellblaster volley gun for the Empire.
Oh.
Right, so this thing is 120 points, which It's okay. It's got toughness 6, 3 wounds. I don't believe it's got any armor. Okay. Now, what's nice about it is it's range 24 and it can't move and shoot, which isn't a great start. But it's strength 5, AP 1 when it does shoot, and you roll three artillery dice to see how many shots you get, which I think is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a misfire on one of them, it's -1 to hit. If you get a misfire on 2 of them, you roll on is it the cannon misfire table, the black powder misfire table?
I think if you roll 2, it just doesn't shoot.
Sorry, if you roll 2, it doesn't. No, if you hang on a sec. No, if you roll. If a misfire is rolled,
you
2
roll
of the
with it.
dice,
Don't shoot. You
no
roll
shots
with
are fired, and a critical fault has
You roll
occurred.
with
You
it.
roll the misfire table, and it's the cannon one.
Yeah.
If you roll 3 misfires, it fires 30 shots. All shots fired from the blaster gun this turn suffer an additional -1 to hit, though. Just okay.
Not great, yeah.
Which I think that's fantastic. Like that's a great little rule. It's like imagine just going to like da da da. But did in the old rules that it used to fire in a random direction though? Like if it
No, I think it always just rolled 30 shots at the target.
Hang on, but presumably it dies though, right? If you roll 3 misfires, right? So yeah, okay, it dies. Okay.
So one thing that's good about it is the fact that engineers can help with it. I think. Can you use ballistic skill 5 engineer for this?
You can for Empire engineers, right?
Can you use a ballistic skill of Empire engineer?
Yeah, you can use ballistic skill of Empire. It's one of their special rules. They can use a ballistic skill, or they can reroll the artillery dice.
So that's quite interesting. But I think the engineer's BS4, right?
He is BS4, yeah.
Rather than BS3 of the crew. So that's one thing. I like the Hellblaster for what it is, but at the same time, I hate anything that has to roll to hit. So for me, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put it in the C tier, ahead of the trebuchet.
Okay.
Because I think the points are okay. I'd like to pay less, but I think you just save that for everything. But the fact that you can use engineers to help with the shooting, the range 24 and not being able to move and shoot it is annoying. So you're not using it turn 1 in a lot of missions. But you do tend to see this model quite a lot in Empire armies.
Yeah, so
steam tank or 2 of them.
So I actually think this is pretty good because the reason I like it, 3 artillery dice number of shots is average of 18 shots, which when you're ballistic skill 4, and you can reroll one of the artillery dice instead if you want to, the engineers, you can keep them near the Hellblaster and use them on your other artillery. But if you've got any spare at the end, you always fire this thing last. You then use all your spare remaining engineers on it, and it makes it a quite reliable number of shots with the BS4. And this thing's pretty good. Like it hits pretty damn hard for its points. So I actually think one of them is really nice in the Empire list.
It's not super likely to have to roll on the misfire table, which I think.
Yes, it makes it more likely not to die.
It's going to shoot most of the time, even if it's a -1. But you're going to be hitting on what 6s.
Okay. Yeah, but most of the time with BS4, you're going to be long range, perhaps cover. And I feel like if you're hitting on 5s with 18 shots, it's pretty good for for a war machine. So I actually think it's actually one of the better. It's way better than organ guns because of the fact it can use a skill and it can have three lots of dice, which makes it way better than organ guns. I think. But I'd put it in the top of B personally. I think I think one of them is very good in an Empire army. I think 2. Because the fact you can't take a steam tank, that makes it not as good. But I think the first one is actually very nice.
Okay, we'll come back to that B rating in a second, Ramsey. But what I just want to say, so all right, so there's a lot of caveats in what you both just said there about how you liked it, and with the engineer. Let me ask you a question: if you didn't have the option of taking an engineer and it was BS3, what would you think about this model?
Terrible.
Right, okay. So the issue that you have is that you say it's 125 points, but it's not really, is it? Because you're having to invest in engineers to make it work.
But you're going to take engineers in Empire because their artillery is that good. Like you need them for the cannons. The cannons are are some of their best models. So you're going to take at least an engineer for your cannon anyway. So I think you're going to take one. And for me, the fact that you can use the engineer if you need to on the cannons, and then if he doesn't use his cannon for a cannon misfire, you can then use his ballistic skill. I think is great. And then if you've got another one nearby, you can use it on the artillery dice if you roll 2 misfires. I think that's just a really good rule, and I really like them.
It's really cool. But if we're playing devil's advocate, or I am playing devil's advocate at the moment, you say we're talking about War Machines on their own. Would you still say it's a B tier?
But I think you can't. It's why for me the Doom Dive example wasn't S, because it can misfire and you can't do anything about it. Whereas, it's got a horrible misfire table. Whereas this thing doesn't misfire that often, and if you do, you've got the reliability. So I think personally, I think it's a pretty good war machine for that. It's much better than most other war machines that we've come across so far.
And not that you're touching over anything, but you honestly think that this is as good as an anvil? Come on now.
I think a 3 points thing is pretty good. Yeah, 120 points is pretty good. That's pretty good output.
True. Okay, that's fine. Well, we got it in B, and you think it's better. Both you think it's better than the Screaming Skull and the Death Shrieker.
Yeah, I think one of them is it's better than those two. I think you could argue the second one is because of the fact it takes a steam tank out of the list makes it, in my opinion, not as good. But that one is pretty useful for me.
Fair enough. Andrew, your turn. We've got a few interesting ones to pick.
I did just pick that.
You did? Oh, yes, you did. Ha! That's my turn. Sorry. Right, so it's my turn. Okay, so I've got a few ones. I want to pick one because I think we need another laugh like the Hell Cannon, guys, if I'm being honest. So we're going to go with the Goblin Hewer.
Oh, God. I used to love this as well. This is one of my favourite Storm of Chaos models as well. It was Storm of Chaos? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Oh, such a cool model.
It is a cool model. It looks horrible to make. Look at it. It's all metal. That is one of the worst things you could make. Let me just... So, yeah, I mean... Let me just see where's my book.
I mean, compare this to a Hellblaster, and, this is just scary how worse this is compared to a Hellblaster.
Yes. And they are quite similar, believe it or not. I mean, in terms of...
They're the same points.
Yes, so it's 120 points. We got T6, 3 wounds. It's 36-inch range, strength 4, AP 1, armor bane, and it's got Whirling Doom. So basically, you roll an artillery dice before making any rolls to hits. Number of shots fired is equal to the roll of the artillery dice, plus a D3 modifier per rank or file that is shooting at. So it sounds like you're going to get a load of hits, but Ramsey, just explain why this is a hot load of garbage and not worth taking.
So the big problem you've got with it is that most of the time, people at the moment are not using lots of ranks, but even if they are, they're going to be cheap, crappy infantry that you don't really care about anyway. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're shooting at something with 2 ranks. That means you average with 6 shots of the artillery dice, plus probably 2 shots with your D3 modifier, 2 lots D3. So probably 4 shots in total. So you're going to get 10 shots. That's only BS3.
Yes, yeah.
The engineered dwarf one can only reroll 1. Sadly, so you can't give it full ballistic skill. Mm-hmm. So it's going to have long range probably because it's only range 36, and it's basically going to hit with 1 or 2 hits. And it's strength 4 AP 1. It's not even as powerful as an organ gun or a Hellblaster. So it just doesn't have the output to do any damage. Sadly, it'll kill one. Okay, if you shoot at a unit of 100 goblins, yes, okay, it might, with 10 ranks, yeah, sure, it might have something. But most of the time, it's going to shoot maximum, even at a big horde of 5 ranks. You're looking at 16 shots, 3-4 hits, killing 3 goblins. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree. But at least, as we were joking about yesterday, at least it's good in combat with its Slayer crews with 1 attack at Initiative 2, Weapon Skill 4.
Yeah, and it's unbreakable.
Hand weapons.
You can't even take it unless you've got the Slayer as well. It's just not good. It's one of those things that you will take if you just want to play a Slayer army. Cool.
Oh, and it rolls on the Stone Thrower misfire table, so it's got the worst misfire table as well.
Yeah, and it's got 1 artillery dice. So you got 1 in 6 chance of misfire compared to the organ gun, which it's much less likely to misfire. You have to roll double misfire on it, so it's just way worse. And sadly, that's what I mean. The Hellblaster is so much better for 120 the same points. It's ridiculous how they can cost us the same. For me, it's absolute hot garbage. It's probably worse than Bolt Throws again.
So we're talking not even D. It doesn't even qualify for D, really, by the sounds of it.
Just leave it in the bottom there.
Just leave it in pin images.
Is it worse than the magma cannon? At least it will shoot. The magma cannon won't shoot, so it's probably.
Wow, you're saying it's better than the Mad Back? Okay. Landry, you got anything that you want to expand on that?
I'd put it just before magma cannon as well. It's
Well,
A
but
flame
are we
puncher is the
ahead of the Hell Cannon or not?
try and impose it on top of the hell cannon.
Yeah, no, it's not having it. It's not having it.
Nah, leave it there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Go on next.
Real. Now it's back to you, Ramsey.
Right, what have we got left? Okay, so we do this next one in order. Which I think
Shall I go through what we have left? Because I know you guys have got a list. It might be difficult. You got it?
I think it's a Dreadquake, isn't it? Dreadquake is the next one.
Dreadquake Mortar, yes.
And then we can do some of these couple ones.
This is a cool one, to be fair.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's a pretty expensive one compared to the rest because you're probably going to take this Ogre Load on it because it makes it a bit more survivable and it gives it a special rule. That's going to make it
slow reloading.
It's going to make it 185 points, which is one of the more expensive war machines. It's a stone thrower, which is pretty cool, and the best thing about it is that it's got the D6 damage rule, which is quite nice. And then, but it's only AP3, which is a bit sad. It's only strength 6, but it does have the Quake rule, which makes you turns off Swift Stride within a certain range, which is quite nice.
That is cool, yeah, very good.
And -1 movement. So I think it's a 2d6 effect radius. So very nice. 185 points, though, makes it a very pricey model for its effect. Because its stone throw damage is not great, and it still has that slow reload rule, which even with the loader, you can still fail that, and unfortunately that could make it not fire the next turn. So that is not great, but I think it's an okay stone thrower. So personally, I'd be looking at putting it probably ahead of the Trebuchet because that's turning off Swift Stride is a very nice rule. But I'm not sure it's going to be. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it getting into B or is it?
I like the fact that it's a 5-inch blast. It's quite rare as well. I feel like the slow reloading thing is almost like it's like a misfire. It's like 2 chances to misfire. You know what I mean? Like if you roll that 1, you may as well have misfired last turn and not shot this turn, and that can feel that does make me feel bad. But I do quite like it. I think it's cool.
Perhaps it goes into B. That's just enough for B. I mean, tail Swift Stride is one of those rules. It's very, very rare. I think it's probably the only things in the game that turns off Swift Stride. So taking 3 inches of someone's charge is very important.
Actually, you know what? It's actually massive. How many times have you broken someone on the charge, for example, or gone to ride them down and not made it on the initial dice roll, and it's only because of Swift Stride that you've been able to catch them? That could be massive.
What if you charge out of that 2d6? Like you're in the 2d6 bubble to start with. You're charging out. You charge out of it though, because then you're no longer in it for you.
I think
it just apply while you're in it, does it? Or?
I think after, so it hits everything that within 2d6, and it has that effect for until the start of their next subturn.
So that unit is like shaken for the rest of
shaken.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the Screaming Skull effect. It's the same rule.
I quite like this. I mean, the points is high. But I do feel like you see it a lot in Chaos Dwarf armies, but I don't know if that's because it's a cool model.
Yeah, I think perhaps it is just like a low B then. The reason I don't think it's amazing is because I don't think it's cheap enough that you can only take 1 of them anyway, I think, points-wise. You're going to struggle to fit 2 of them in the list, Chaos Dwarfs.
You can fit 2, though, right?
You can if you want to, but I think... 185. But the Chaos Dwarfs are very expensive, so I feel like you're going to take 1 of them for that effect anyway. And so, compared to other war machines that, like a Doom Diver is only 95, and it's probably going to do more damage to a big target than this thing. So it doesn't. If it was doing the same damage as a, because I know it has the D6 damage, but it's only strength 6 AP3, so it hasn't got that high. It can't punch through the top high toughness as easily as these other ones can. But I think it's okay. It's a pretty good one.
It's also challenging. The slot for the 0 to 1 war machine per 1,000 points in the rare slot, between the Dreadquake Mortar and the Hell Cannon. So it's got some competition there.
Yeah,
You know what's also hilarious is that it quakes and it removes Swift Stride off everything with Swift Stride. But you know what it doesn't remove it from? Because it's not actually Swift Stride, it's a Doomseeker. That's hilarious. They still get their plus
Just
3.
Just stop with your Doomseekers.
Hey.
So yeah,
I got a lot of love for Doomseekers.
Right, where are we putting this? Are we going to put this? Are we going to put this at the
low,
end of B?
yeah, probably low B for me, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying low B. We're talking before the Death Shrieker or before,
After the Death Shrieker.
Yeah, I think Death Shrieker is better because it's cheaper.
That's cool. So C is looking quite lonely. It's quite interesting. Things either look good or terrible, not like sort of.
We can put some C's together. I think.
Well, let's see if I can get you a lovely little C here. So I'm going to pick I'm going to pick the Hellstorm rocket battery.
Okay, I'm not sure this is not C.
It's not going C. It's not going in S either.
So it's 125 points, toughness 6, 3 wounds. And you might never have heard of what it does. So it's got the Hellstorm rocket battery. So range 12 to 48, strength 3, AP 1. It's cumbersome, move or shoot, and then the Hellstorm rule. So what that is it fires out of line of sight, but it's not got the bombard special rule. You fire D3 blast templates, 3-inch templates, and they scatter like the bombard though. So if you roll a misfire, you roll on the is it the stone throw misfire table? Which misfire table do you roll on here? Just as appropriate misfire table. What's appropriate?
Let's have a look at this one. I actually don't know.
I would have if it's a template with a scatter, they tend to go for
it's a black powder misfire table.
Okay.
Black powder. And then if you roll a hit, you scatter with whatever that arrow is minus the ballistic skill of the crew, which is 3. But if an arrow is rolled, you scatter the full distance. And then it's just the normal wrist being hit underneath. There's no special strength being in the middle or anything like that. So, thoughts?
And did you mention that it has no high damage point in the middle?
That's what I mean. The middle has nothing. Nothing separate.
3 AP1.
3 AP1 flat raw dog in it.
It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
This thing is just absolutely dreadful. A mortar's better than 100%, and the mortar's not even.
What comes to what?
This is down in this D tier again, and sadly, it's just terrible.
There's a lot going in that D tier, boys. It is quite depressing, isn't it? We could have done with having maybe an E tier as well, but yeah, I would agree with that. I can't think of any redeeming features for it, if I'm being honest.
Is it worse than a Goblin Hero? I don't know. It's probably doing similar damage to Goblin Hero. Like it's really low damage. Yeah, it's kind of like one model if it hits.
If it's the strength 3 that gets you,
it's terrible. Like if it was like it had some damage into the hole, it'd be maybe like you could try and like throw 3 of them at like a monster or something. But it's terrible.
Yeah.
I would put it. I'd put it after the Hell Cannon, but before the Hewer.
Okay. Yeah, that Hewer is doesn't get any kind of love. Exactly. I'm gonna go. Sorry, you're gonna say something, Andy?
No, I was just gonna say right. What's the next one?
Okay, so I'm actually gonna go a little bit. Old school. One of the old school favorites is the Skaven Warp Lightning Cannon. So we've got for 110 points. We have T6 4 wounds, which is quite nice. 4 wounds on the cannon. And then the actual shooting profile itself is Strength Star. Okay. Range is 8d6, AP3, Lightning Strike being the rule. So on that, when you shoot the weapon, you draw a straight line, 8d6 in length from the base of the model. Any friend or foe whose base falls under this line suffers a hit. The strength of this is determined by rolling an artillery dice. If a misfire is rolled, roll the artillery dice to determine the strength of the weapon. Something has gone horribly wrong. Roll immediately on the warp lightning misfire table to determine exactly what. So that is then it's got the misfire table there. So, I mean,
How bad's the misfire table?
do you want me to go for it?
On the 1 you blow up, 2 to 4 you shoot randomly, and then a 5 to 6.
This is the one that shoots randomly. Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, love it. Esther.
So yeah, basically, meltdown. Yeah, it dies. Energy load, infallible energy spin. Blah blah blah. No, it shoots shoots with a strength of 6 in a random direction. That is so cool.
Great.
And then okay, then yeah, 5-6 fails to shoot. 110, but it's fun. It's great fun.
Yeah. So what
Any
hurts
good,
is that it's not multi damage, which is unusual for a war machine. It used to do a lot of multi damage, and sadly, it all got stripped out. I think you have to also take a Warlock Engineer to unlock these things, which is a bit of a shame because there's a bit of a
tax to it. Yeah.
But like drawing lines is quite interesting. It's similar to a cannon in that you can punish mistakes with this. It is random distance though, so that makes it tricky to get enough distance.
8d6.
Yeah, 8d6. It's only averaging 28 inches. Yeah, which is not great.
Yeah, it sounds like it should be a lot, but it will never be that. It'll never be that far.
And the random strength means that yes, it could be strength 10, but it also could be strength 2. But the strength, rolling a strength 4 or higher. I mean, without it being multi damage, you're probably not shooting at monsters anyway. So
no,
you're going to be shooting at normal units. So being strength 4 or higher is okay. I think it's way better than the D tier models, but it's not. But it's not probably worse than a trebuchet.
Okay, so here's my thoughts when I'm grading it. Is that if you're looking at fun, this is S tier. This is like the one. It's always been hilarious fun to use, with all that can go wrong. If you think about like what it's actually going to bring to your army, I would agree. I'd probably C. You can't put it in the same bracket as the Hell Cannon, but I'd agree with C. Not great at all.
Going back in the day, marching these things down the table, trying to.
I remember when we played Xlan at one of our mates' house, and it misfired, rolled the spinning direction shooting one, and it fired right down the line of my high elves. I was on his team, we were playing like a team game, and it was so sad and yet so funny, like hilarious. So yeah, fond, bittersweet memories there, really. What do you think? You agree? I'm in agreement, Andy? C?
Top of C.
Top of C.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it's worse.
Is that what you said? Sorry, I was just confirming. Is that what you said?
It's probably the worst C. It probably could be in D, but I think I just love this model. I just love this thing so much. I think it should be bottom. So.
But we're all in agreement that the new model is way worse than the old model. The old model's way really.
Oh yeah, the old one was amazing.
The new one's okay.
No, the old one it's just classic, isn't it? I mean,
I like. I think it looks cool. That's not weird.
Yeah.
Next,
all right. Yeah, we're getting through them. Nearly finished. Ramsey, it's back to you, I think.
Can we do some bolt throws together here? Because I think they're going to be pretty similar to here.
Yeah.
We've only got 2 bolt throwers left.
Goblin and the Dwarf, haven't we? So let's get those 2 together because I think they're going to be very similar.
Yeah.
In that one is a bit cheaper. But the other one has got some rune upgrades that it can take, which makes it a little bit more. You can diversify a little bit. So the Goblin Bolt Thrower is like one of those things that's always been cheap, and it always misses basically, which is fine. That's what it does, right? It misses because it's cheap.
Like 35 points.
It's the same with the Hobgoblin one. I think is the Hobgoblin one there as well.
Yes, it is actually. Yeah.
There's a Hobgoblin one. They're all 45 points, and they're both BS3, which means you're probably going to hit on a 6 against anything with cover. Which is not great, but if you do hit a monster on a 5-up, you'll probably do some damage because it's strength 6 AP3 with multi-wound 2. It's quite cool. So this thing for me is just this archetypical top of C machine for me because they're just consistent. They probably do nothing, but they have the threat of doing something. And if you take enough of them, then they will possibly do something every turn.
Uh,
And the dwarf one is similar in that it's a bit more expensive. In that I think it's 55 points, is it?
It's 55 points.
But you
But
get
you can put the rune of skewering on this is quite tasty, to be fair.
ignore armor saves, isn't it, and +1 strength, which is okay.
Yeah,
And you got an engineer as well for helping it, right?
So get
Reroll
reroll.
one. Not great.
Here's a question, right? With the goblin ones, right? You're supposed to take them in units. Now, obviously, you can only have 3 of these now because they're single. If you could take them in units of, let's say, up to 3 or 2, let's say 3. Would you see people take 9 of these?
No, I don't think they're good enough. They're just it's the fact they're only one shot where they probably miss. It's just for me, this is not good enough. But
You think
I think
the modifiers to hit is too harsh?
yeah, there's a
in the
lot of
game now?
modifiers in this game now. I think the hobgoblin one for some reason is a bit weaker. I think the hobgoblin one's got heavy armor, but it's only T4, whereas the
Heavy
goblin
armor?
one is the goblin one's T5, but it has light armor or has no armor. So they're all pretty similar. They're all for me. They are probably similar to Trebuchet in that like 3 of them is the same points as Trebuchet-ish, and they're going to do probably as much damage as they're probably going to miss.
Hobgoblin's got light armor.
How's it? Okay.
It's tough as 4.
Yeah, it's tough as 4. Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying the goblin and the hobgoblin one are in C, right? Top of
Yeah.
C or bottom of C?
They're probably similar to Field Trebuchet. I mean, I don't know. They're probably about as good. Perhaps Bombardment makes it a little bit better, but
Okay.
the dwarf one for me is the same. It's a bit more expensive, so the
It's ahead
rune.
of the other ones, right? Would you say?
No, I think I'd rather have it being cheap because it's going to miss. Like, so why would I spend 75 points on something that's just going to miss as likely as a goblin bolt thrower?
Okay.
I'd rather personally keep it cheap, but the dwarf one's a bit more survivable. So that's what you're paying.
True, and you can, like I said, I do think the rune of skewering, if you can, I just wish there's a way you could buff the BS, but the rune of skewering is quite cool. Strength 7, damage 2, ignoring armor saves. It's quite nice against big units as well, like a bit of like maybe a monster. But yeah, can these get move and shoot in expeditionary?
I don't know. The expedition, it's.
I got the book. Hang on.
I believe so. I believe it's anything apart from the stone throwers.
Right. Okay. Let's have a little look. Talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds. No, it's cannons, organs, flame cannons. That's annoying. In fact, I actually don't think you can take these. Oh, you can take them in special.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's the newfangled stuff that gets the move and shoot, isn't it? The old stuff doesn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for me, they're worse than goblins because they're more expensive, but they are a bit more survivable. So whatever.
Okay. All right. I will put it there. Top up there.
Yep.
All right. So I am going to pick. Let's. You know what? I feel like we do need another S tier thing on this, and I think the only thing really, you got 2 maybe. I'm going to go with the grudge thrower for dwarves. I really like the grudge thrower. I've had some horrific experiences with them in the last game, which is on the battle report, which will be linked at the bottom of this video. But I mean, you're able to roll over a 1. I think they're pretty cool. What do you think?
For me, they're just solid war machines. They're not great, but they're not terrible. They will do some damage over the course of a game. They're bombardment. You can buff them with runes. So I like them. I don't think they're the best war machines. I don't think they're as good as. I prefer a Doom Diver better, but I think it's pretty good.
Okay, I like them. The inclusive runes means that they are a little bit more expensive, but a lot more reliable as well. Andy, I know you've got some thoughts on grudge throwers.
I'd say they're better. I like them more than the Doom Diver in an order, but that's because you can take ruins and engineers, and the fact that I think in pretty much most competitive dwarf lists you see 3 of these appear. Because they help solve, because they do +1 damage and high strength and AP. They help with your big thing.
Yeah, dwarves don't have good anti-big stuff, do they?
It's their big stuff removal. Better than a cannon, for example, for it. So and obviously, the engineers that help. So I'd say I'd I'd probably put the Grudge Thrower at the top of A tier.
On top of 80, you think you're what ahead of a Border Princess Bombard?
No, Bombard's way better than this.
I think the Grudge Thrower.
Cannons are the best war machines in my opinion in the game. The way you can target with them, the only way they miss if you roll a misfire, and that you just don't have that reliability of the Stone Thrower.
I think the Stone Thrower is really good. They feel quite reliable with the fact that they're just always shooting.
Yeah, you can get a rune of forging on them to give them that reliability. To re-roll the artillery dice.
And it's just magical shooting as well, which I was
If you
thinking.
roll a 10 on that scatter, it's going. If you've nothing to do like that, it's gone.
Yeah, but you say that. You roll a misfire and the cannon Border Princess is gone, so it's
yeah on the second bounce.
Actually, no, unless you roll 6 then on misfire, so it's still going. Okay, fair enough. I get your point.
I think the Bombard. I think cannons are in a tier their own personally, but that's just my
cannon tier. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
there's a cannon tier and then A.
So you're saying that all cannons we should put up there with the casket?
No, I think the casket's just too good.
The casket is in casket tier.
Yeah.
I think they are. They're an A tier.
They're an A tier.
Do you agree they're A tier though, Ramsey?
Yeah, well, I do agree. The engineer helps them a lot.
Have you wrote a dwarf list without 3 of them in it?
No, the problem, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm comparing it to other war machines in that it's a Stone Thrower, which is okay. But I do like that. I do like it. It's magical.
It's a magical Stone Thrower. Okay.
And the fact you can ignore the rune for 5 points lets you ignore the 2 to 4 roll, which is very nice. Lets you just shoot next turn.
It's just got the reliability behind it, which I think is quite strong. Even though you pay a premium, they cost like 110 points. 100.
They start at 100 and then
100. Is it 100 base?
Is it 95 base? Sorry, and then
you put a couple of 5.
By the time you're done, it's
like 110 points when they're done.
Yeah.
100 with the reloading, and then it's 95. Like if you want to get a forging on it, it's 15, isn't it? So.
Yeah. And then
I think I like the Stone Thrower. May as well do the Rock Lobber at the same time. Just to get
Rock Lobber 75, so that's a bit substantially cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have the reliability, doesn't have magic attacks. I think a Rock Lobber is pretty good as well. But it's probably not as good as a Stone Thrower. A good thrower only because it doesn't have that reliability.
I'd put it one behind the. I'd put it behind the Screaming Skull at least.
Okay.
Oh, it's 50 points cheaper. 50 points cheaper. That is crazy. 50 points. Like 50 points is a lot. Like that is
not magical. Doesn't panic people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the skulls of the foe rule that the Screamer's Skull does add quite a lot. To be fair.
It's 75 points. That thing is that thing you can just put in all. You can put 2 in the list.
2, right?
Yeah, 2. So 2 of them are nearly the same as a Screaming Skull Catapult. I think they're pretty good. They're probably similar in terms of their output, but they are just a lot cheaper.
And it doesn't have any comboing towards the Screaming Skull's got some combo bits to it.
With the
you got Plague of Rust. That's all you need. And you do have combo. You have the Evil Sun Shining, which gives you an extra AP if you're within the spell.
Real wounds.
It gives it an extra AP on all its attacks. So the actual small, even the base, like the edge of the template, will be AP 2, which is pretty good.
Okay.
I'd say it's definitely in B tier because it's not as good as the Grudge Stroke. It's just not the engineer.
Okay.
Engineers are just too good.
Okay, so but are we putting it ahead of the Screamer Skull?
It's about the same.
It's about the same. Okay. Right, that's fine. My turn then. I'm going to sit with my boys' dwarves. In fact, why don't we do both cannons together because we can actually compare them together as well. Empire Great Cannon and the Dwarf Cannon is what I will pick. Quite different, but I mean they're cannons. They operate the same way. So start with the Dwarf Cannon, which is like a baby Great Cannon. Strength 8, it's AP 2. It's only D3 damage. Again, you can put magic. You can put runes on it as well. And I believe the base cost of this is 100 points. I will double check. And then, so by the time you're done putting your runes on it, which you'll probably always put a forging on it, you might put stalwart rune on there just to sort of vary the runes up, or I don't know, a rune of the fire rune again, just to sort of mix the runes up. You're looking at sort of 115 to 120 points usually. What do we think?
I think in the Expeditionary Force, I actually really like them. I think being able to move and shoot is pretty good. I think it's a pretty good rule. I think cannons in general are just good anyway. And I know it gets a bad rep because it's only AP2 and D3 damage, but this thing's not good at killing monsters, but it's good at killing like that kind of medium toughness infantry, and it can get like Pegasus Knights, for example. It's very
I was just about to say, warning: Pegasus Knights are the last LGT cannons. Well, Pegasus don't like that.
Yeah, and it's very reliable because it's got engineers backing it up, and the fact it can move and shoot means you can keep it safe, or it can get a nice little juicy angle shot. I think they're in Expeditionary Force, and they're actually pretty good. I'd be looking to put these quite high up.
Okay. Andy, any thoughts to expand on that?
The same. Yeah.
We say high up. We're talking high B, low A.
I think it's A tier. I think they get an unnecessarily bad rep. I think cannons in general are good. Just in the game right now, the fact you can shoot over things, I think they're just really good.
I'd put behind the Princess there, the Border Princess one.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's worse than that one, and it's probably worse than these stone throwers that we've got in that tier because it doesn't. Okay. It's probably not got the punch that the dwarfs need, but I think it's pretty reliable.
And then the Great Cannon.
I'd put that behind. I'd put that
because it's very basically the same, but it's strength 10. It's strength 10 AP3 and it's D3 plus 1 damage.
And I would put that behind the Border Princess one due to the misfire, but it does have the potential for engineer. So maybe
I think this for me is actually one of those ones. I think it's maybe an S tier because I think the Empire lists start with 3 of these. I think because they are so good. Because rank 10 means it wounds everything on 2s, pretty much. Even toughness 7 or 8 stupid Chaos Dwarf
things.
Yeah.
It's got a big range as well, which means doesn't come up that often, but on that mission where you play the Hammer and Anvil, that thing just sits at the back of the table and shoots the entire table length, which is quite funny.
Okay, so...
but I just... It is more expensive than the bot. It's 125, which is a bit more. You do pay for that premium. And basically, you have to run an engineer because you don't want this thing to not roll every turn on its.
When you've invested into 3 great cannons and probably a Hell Blaster and a mortar,
perhaps it's not quite S. It is good though. I mean, cannons are I just love them so much. So it's hard not to like this thing.
You know what? I'm actually going to because I'm in control of this and you can't stop me. I'm going to put this in S tier because I don't like the casket being there on its own. It's
casket's not lonely. Don't you worry about the casket.
Yeah,
it's there.
Casket's stupid.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ruffle some feathers by saying yes, it's S. Not as good as a casket, but quite frankly, it's just because it's obnoxious sat there on top of the pile, like it owns the joint. Let's stick a cannon in there as well. But I agree. I think any model that you build an army around is really good, and that was my argument for the anvil as well. But yes, I agree. Your turn, Ramsey, to pick of the 3.
We've got the organ gun, which is like the sad brother of the Hellbuster. Let's do that one.
The sad brother. All right, let's do it. Yeah.
So this thing only rolls 2 dice. It cannot use the engineer's ballistic skill. It can only reroll 1s. It doesn't even get runes. So it's sad. It
is range 30 though,
it's range 30, yeah. So it's a little bit more, and it can move and shoot in the execution ability and stuff as -1 to hit. Which whatever. So for me, it's not a good war machine, sadly, but it's way better than the ones in D tier because it'll get. Actually, no, is it better than the ones in D tier?
Oh,
I'm looking at those bolt throwers. Those bolt throwers will pop. At least they're BS4, right? Which is only BS3. So I think maybe it's even worse. Maybe it's even worse than these bolt throwers.
Wow. Okay. Why can't it take runes? It makes no sense. I can't think of a single rune that you'd put on it that would make it broken, and that's the reason why they've done it. Presumably, is to stop you coming up with ridiculous combos. I can't think of a reason why they'd have done that.
You know, this thing used to, when I started playing Warhammer, it used to fire 5 cannons worth of shots, but it only fired once per game. Each barrel could only fire once per game, but it fired like a cannon profile.
Ridiculous. Well, Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. Honestly, I played against this and I was terrified at LGT, and honestly, it didn't do anything. It was the cannons and everything else that did it. That did everything.
It's just
Perhaps it's worse than the high elf bolt throwers.
Yeah, I mean, BS3 and a rapid fire long range gun doesn't. It's just terrible. It's just not good. It's
Shall we?
not good.
One thing about that is moving the high elf bolt throwers out of D just to the bottom of C, and
Okay.
pop that all into where they are.
I'm glad you're seeing sense because I said that, and then when we started putting
They are
like hell
terrible.
cannons, hey,
Yeah,
hey,
I mean, that's the meme tier, isn't it? D tier is the meme tier, so they're
yeah,
probably not.
It's in all guns and memes here.
you think it's
They're
a
not.
meme thing?
You see people take them all the time.
I mean, maybe they're the bottom of C. I don't know. They're really bad. They're
You
really
did.
really bad.
It was fun. I mean, I must remind Ramsey, this was a model that you said to me, take 3 of at LGT. You should take
Yeah,
a.
I think you get at least
and then,
one hit on the
and then,
dice.
and then I've tried them a couple of times. Like, I just couldn't hit with them, and it's like, yeah, this is terrible.
Okay, D. I'm going to go with D. I would agree. I'd agree with that. Maybe
So much
pushing
worse to
C.
help. It's so much worse to help us. I just can't understand why they're the same cost. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Right, Andy, we've got 2 to pick from.
I'll do the mortar then. I don't actually know about the plague law, to be honest.
Oh, I got the play call. Don't you worry.
Right, so the mortar is 12 to 48-inch range, strength 6 in the middle, -3, which sounds lovely, and multiple wounds D3, and its armor being 1. On the outside is strength 2, AP 2, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it fires on the black powder misfire table rather than any sort of stone thrower misfire table, which is nice. And it's got the bombardment special rule, so it fires like a stone thrower.
Yeah, and it's a 5-inch template as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, and it's a 5-inch template.
Very cool.
I actually don't hate that because it's a 5-inch template, and it's 95 points. You can upgrade it to have a veteran for 10 points. 10 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually don't hate this.
No, no.
And I've got to say, I've never really looked at one when writing Empire lists.
Would you now?
I think they're okay.
Potentially because of the 5-inch template.
Yeah, 5-inch template feels good. It does feel good.
Because the small template, you feel like I want to fire a block of infantry, so I'm more likely to actually hit anything rather than the grass. So the 5-inch template helps because it means you can clip a few skirmishers if you're firing at most of these 40k armies we're playing against. And a lot of the armies at the moment, you got like stuff Wood Elves and stuff like that. Lots of tough as 3 stuff walking around. So when you got 5s, isn't the end of the world with that strength 2. So I don't actually hate it.
No,
but strength 2 for 90.
I don't love it either.
I don't love it. I don't love it, but I just don't actually just hate it. So I wouldn't say it was a D tier though.
No, it's not a D tier one.
Interestingly, after reading it, I will be completely honest, that is the first time I've actually looked at that thing.
Okay. Do you think it's good enough to push the boundaries of B tier?
No, I don't think they're going to B tier. I don't think it's better than. Where would I put it in C if I was? I wouldn't say it was good as the Trebuchet. I probably.
I think it actually maybe is better than Trebuchet now. Or at least it's some part of it because it's BS3, which bombardment every inch is quite important with that, and
an engineer.
The 5-inch template, the engineer. I think it's okay. I don't think it's terrible at all. I think it's probably on par.
You say
I think anything that can fire indirect means it can shoot all game, which means it'll probably do some damage. Whereas a lot of these can't see ending turn 1, or they're out of range, or they miss. Whereas this thing probably won't miss.
Could you see a world where you're taking 3 of these with 3 great cannons and a steam tank?
Well, the problem is if you're playing a very elite army, they're not going to do a lot, are they? But I mean, strength 6 D3 damage into the hull. It's the same as a bolt thrower hit, which I think it's okay. That's why I'd probably put it above bolt throwers because I think those bolt throwers are more likely to miss than the stone throw. I think the stone throw the mortar is more likely to hit.
You're more likely to see a trebuchet than a mortar in an army, though. Have you ever seen anyone play a mortar in any of these Empire?
It's just Empire, isn't it? Empire just is not as easy as Bretonnians. I've seen Tim Vat using one last weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, but Tim Vass is an absolute maverick.
Yeah, he's in his own stratosphere.
He's a tier of his own.
Yeah.
Okay.
I personally myself would throw it just one behind the trebuchet, but in front of the bolt throwers. What about you guys?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say so. Yeah, I mean, I like the 5-inch blast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Get it in there and then tell us all about this.
And we've got another 5-inch template coming up, haven't we?
We have indeed. It is, yeah. So, Plague Claw Catapult. It's quite a nice points cost at 110, which is not terrible. And then it's a T6 with, let's have a look. T6 with 4 wounds, again, it's quite nice. And then the Plague Claw Catapult wound, so it's a range 12 to 72 inches. It's strength 2, brackets 4. Flat AP of 3, which is quite nice. And yeah, so it's a 5-inch blast template. When you roll to wound for this weapon, a natural roll of a 6 is always a success, even if the target's toughness is so high that the weapon would normally not be able to wound it. So it's no multiple damage. It's all single damage. It's obviously very low strength, but always being able to wound. I mean, it's okay. AP3 is really nice, but I feel like my issue with it is that even with a 5-inch blast template, you're actually not going to be hitting that much with the way partial works now. Really, and we're not seeing massive blocks of stuff still.
Yeah,
I mean, the 5-inch template helps.
Yeah, for me, the mortar at least has that multiple. That's why I like the mortar. At least it has that multi-use of being able to do some damage in the middle. This thing is not going to do anything in the middle to anything important. So, for me, that makes it a lot worse than the mortar, sadly.
Yeah, damage. Having no multiple damage kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. So for me, this is going to either be a meme tier or it's going to be right at the bottom of C.
But I mean, what toughness are Night Goblins? Are the 90-man Night Goblin?
Toughness 3.
Unit. So you wound that at 5, so you can get quite a few hits on that, maybe. Just killing them outright. I don't know. It's not great, is it?
No, it's not great. For 110, it's not great.
Yeah, if this thing was like maybe 80. What's that about?
Yeah, it's got the stone thrower missile table as well. I think personally, it's probably the bottom of C or right at the top of D. I don't really care where it goes because they're both terrible.
Yeah, all right, we'll go with let's be generous and say bottom of C. C stacked. I'm sorry, but like there's some such memes in D. I feel quite frankly awful putting something in there if it's like it's it's okay. It's, that's it. Anything that you guys would want to revise now that you can see it all? Anything that you feel is just wrong? We've got it absolutely horrifically wrong looking at it now.
No, I don't think so. I think for me it looks pretty good.
Okay. So obviously this is up for debate. It's always at the end of the day is our own opinions. So if you do disagree with anything in this list, please, insult us, call us nasty names, put it in the comments. We want to see it. We've got really thick skin, apart from Andy, but I'll make sure that he's okay. Please, just let us know. Andy, James, do you have anything else that you'd want to go through at all? I mean, how do you sign off a tier list video? I don't even know.
All I want to say is that cannons are the best. This fucking casket needs to get out of here.
Drop kick that casket right out of us.
Yeah.
Andy, anything you want to add to that?
Caskets.
Yeah. I hate caskets too, but there's no denying how good they are. Well, that is everything that we've got time for, I think, on this stage. I don't even know how long the video is because I can't see the studio. But thank you very much for watching. If you have watched, again, please put a comment down below, and we will see you in the next video, hopefully at the weekend. I don't know when. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Andrew, say bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go.